Greetings, viewers. Welcome to another time-lapse process video by yours truly, Aziz Draws. For the second week of Black History Month, I figured, hey, let me go to the DC universe real quick and draw some characters from there. Kicking things off, I decided to draw Firestorm, the black one. And I figured, this would be a nice little start with for DC universe, something cool, something with flames, something that would help me with some effects here and there. And so, yeah, it's kind of what we ended up with. I chose number 2 for the thumbnail sketches. Of course, if I'm doing thumbnail sketches, that most likely means that I'm streaming on twitch.tv/Aziz Draws. And most of the people liked 2, the people that I asked to vote or provide their opinion. I like to ask people their input on what drawings they would want to see. I like to see what other people's opinions are on the choices I make for these illustrations. All of this, is just to help me with being able to come up with these compositions and illustrations, practice them, and study them, as well as see what resides with people, what people vibe with, So that's kind of what we ended up with. I decided to have like a mixture of the character design from the show, the CW show, Legends of Tomorrow, as well as integrate some of the features from the original suit. Things that were consistent between both of those designs stayed, like the color palette. Typically with the flame-based characters or fire-based characters, their color palette is usually always like red and yellow or red and gold or something of that nature. So that stayed. I did like the effect in the comics where in those little circles on his suit design, there's sometimes like these it's like this energy kind of sprouts out of it. So I played along with that. I thought that would be a pretty cool rhythmic take on line work. And of course, his flaming head. So there goes my my way of avoiding that whole shtick. But yeah, it's nothing too insane that happened when I was drawing this, aside from the perspective challenge. I always like trying to test my ability to do perspective. And then beyond that, I was just like, all right, we got it. Got some glowing effects here and there. Um, and then we just finished the drawing right then and there. I didn't feel like doing a background because I felt that, I didn't have much time. And then also I felt that it would take away from the focus of the character since the character itself is already pretty dynamic with the color and composition. Next, I decided to draw Aqualad. Aqualad specifically from Young Justice, because there's different versions of Aqualad. I used to watch Teen Titans when I was a kid, so that was the first version of Aqualad I encountered. The one that was dressed in blue and had the long black hair. And then Young Justice pulled up, and I was like, this shows heat. And so I figured, you know what? I'll draw the brother version of Aqualad. He has a pretty cool design. He's got the tattoos on his arms that glow whenever he's using his water bearers, and I thought that was a really cool effect. So I wanted to implement that into the design. And not gonna lie, when I was shading this, the first artist that came to mind was Jorge Jimenez, because that dude can draw. If you've ever seen Jorge Jimenez stuff, it's really, really good. He's a comic book artist. I believe he primarily does penciling and inking for DC Comics. I could be wrong, but that's where I see most of his art from. He's been working on a Batman series I know as of late, and he just has really good stuff. And I like the way he uses dry brush applications for shading. I don't really see that too often with comics. Like I'll see inking and then I'll see hatching for shading. And what he likes to do is he likes to use like a dry brush and just does kind of these loose strokes on his characters, and it has this really nice dynamic and vibrant feel to it. Like, it's like, oh, this got character to it. So that's kind of where I got that inspiration to use a dry brush for shading. And then of course, I try to see if I can make water again. Water is a very challenging material to make, but It's also kind of fun if you kind of got it. It doesn't look entirely like water, but I tried. I tried. See that little Aquaman logo being substituted for mine. You know how it is around here. You know how it is. And then of course, no background this time because it's just I did this pretty early in the morning. Not gonna lie. But next drawing is John Stewart, one of the Green Lanterns. Um, First time I encountered the Green Lantern, funnily enough, was actually this version. I didn't even know about Hal Jordan when I was a kid because when I was watching TV, the Justice League animated series was on air. They had John Stewart, so it took a little bit longer for me to find out about Hal Jordan, and of course about the other Green Lanterns. I can't remember all of them by name, but I know there's plenty more where they came from. But it's Black History Month, so I was like, "Yep, let's get John Stewart in here." I I did draw John Stewart last year's Black History Month, but the reason why I decided to draw it again was because I felt I didn't serve him justice. I didn't feel like I didn't serve the character justice because I only spent like maybe an hour and a half on that drawing. It was really just like a sketch. It was a painting sketch, and I don't know. I was a little bit down about that. It was mostly because I just didn't have the time to do it. I was trying to get it done earlier in that day and had some stuff to do later, so I knew I couldn't spend too much time on it. So I dedicated like a day to it. Not only a day, but like a day where I was streaming. So I knew for a fact that I would be able to spend more time on illustration of John Stewart. This time I wanted to, I don't know, I was feeling like a comic book artist today. Like, well, not today, but the day I drew this. I don't know. I was feeling a little different. I just started drawing lines and I was like, "Oh, okay, hold on." I just kept throwing lines in there. And then I realized I was, uh, whether or not it was subconsciously or consciously, I was kind of almost imitating the comic book style with the high contrast values as well as the hatching they use to shade their characters. I don't know. It was fun. I can see why they like doing that. I can see why they like adding all those lines. I don't know. It has this nice characteristic to it. And then of course I used my dandy oil paint flat brush, the default brush from Clip Studio Paint. It just looks good. I don't know what it is about it. It just looks good. Um, as well as some of the brushes I've downloaded on the Clip Studio Assets site. But yeah, it was just I just wanted to explore like the comic book style of illustration for this drawing, and I think it turned out well. I don't know. I'm not like a comic book artist or anything, so I don't know how well this would apply uh, realistically in a comic book setting. But I like the visual result of it. I like how it turned out. Looks chill, looks cool. Next, we have Icon. This was, I think, one of my shorter drawings, one of my shorter illustrations. Surprisingly enough, though, we didn't have any crazy 1 hour drawings this week. I'll tell you that much. Primarily had to do with the fact that I decided, you know what, bump this. I'm going to wake up early um, just to try and get a head start on some of these illustrations. And that's what ended up happening. A lot of these sketches I either A, were able to do early in the morning, then go to work and then finish the rest of it, or I just had, more time to work on it and I had a better direction as to where I would take it. So by the time I got to drawing it, it was a lot quicker of a process for me to get to where I need to be. Sometimes when I draw, it's like I'm still thinking about how it's going to look while I'm drawing it. So that makes it take longer. But there are some situations where uh, I'll be able to like process what I want that image to look like before I touch anything. And by the time I do get to my tablet, I know exactly what I want it to look like, and then I can just churn it out. That rarely happens, but there are a few occasions where I'm able to like see exactly what I want to go for. This one kind of like there's an aspect of this illustration that I was able to think about ahead of time, but then other stuff about it became kind of intuitive. Like for example, the cracks here, because I knew I wanted like this high contrast ability to like almost insinuate the form, you know, to imply the form without actually doing line art. But something felt empty about it. So I was like, wait, what if this was like a graffiti style illustration? What if this was on a wall, like a tethered up and, you know, beaten up wall? And that's kind of where those cracks came from. And that was the idea that it rooted from. Next, we have Black Adam, Shazam's, you know, arch nemesis. It's crazy to think that like we call him Shazam now. I still remember when we were calling him like Black. We were not Black Adam. We were still calling him Captain Marvel. Now, when you say Captain Marvel, it's a completely different person from a completely different universe from a company with the same name. But anyway, yeah, I decided to draw Black Adam. You know, he's a brother. He's from Egypt, so I was like, this would be cool. Like the idea I had was I wanted a formal balance for my illustrations, something where it's just head straight on. Like I'm used to doing a lot of perspective stuff, but I wanted to try and make a captivating piece with a front view with not much perspective, but with a focus on lighting, with a focus on like, you know, I wanted it to look like those Renaissance paintings where they make an emphasis on this kind of gradient of light. You know, the focus is always the brightest and most contrasted area, and then everything else kind of fades out because that isn't the focus anymore. It wants you to drive your attention and eye towards that focal point. So that's what I was trying to experiment with here. You have the lightning striking the chest, indicating that Black Adam has just yelled Shazam, and so because of that, the lightning is the main source of light, and will therefore be the focus of the piece because of the way that I constructed the composition. So that's kind of the thought process behind that, and then everything else, you know, is just, you know, shading and practice with that I've had with anatomy, making sure everything looks relatively sound. Um, the anatomy might not be entirely accurate, but I wanted to at least from the shading that be look somewhat believable, somewhat promising. So that's that. Add some wrinkles here and there. You know, he is wearing clothes. He's not naked, so there should be some indication that a material is on top of his skin. But yeah, I have some clouds in here. I love this brush. I forget the name of this brush because it's in Japanese, but it's a really nice brush. It blends very well. It makes clouds very easy to make. That's why I like using it so much. But add some glow effects here and there, probably some color dodge or add glow layer blending, and you know you got yourself a Black Adam yelling Shazam. But yeah, there we go with that one. Who did I draw next? Ah, yes, it was this one, Nubia. Nubia is Diana's sister or Wonder Woman's sister. Uh, I've heard of her before. Last year, I was looking up DC characters that are of my similar skin tone, and I was like, oh, Princess Diana has a sister who is the same skin color as me. What? But yeah, I figured I'd draw her this year because I didn't have a chance to do it last year. I think last year what happened was I just didn't have a solid idea or really thought about how I would want to compose a piece with Nubia. But this year I was like, you know what, let me give it a shot. This was another drawing. I think it was of the shorter, you know, side of things. This was on a day I was working, so I didn't spend as much time on it, but I was still able to get a decent amount of development for this piece, for this study, if you will. I wanted to kind of create this sunrise or sunset lighting where the sun is low in elevation, and because it's low in elevation, the atmosphere, the molecules within the atmosphere are bouncing away from the sun, so it makes the sun more red. And so that's kind of the thought process behind the color choice and lighting. And then, of course, the environment itself, I wanted to just be kind of like a barren wasteland of sorts where like there would be a giant battle. So I kind of wanted to imply that like she's about to begin a battle or she's almost done with a battle. If she was done with the battle, she probably would have more battle damage on her. Unless she's just, that cracked. Maybe she's just invincible. Maybe she's just that good that no one could touch her. Who knows? But yeah, that was the mindset here. And of course, have that perspective going in with this drawing. Have this kind of cool Dutch perspective where it's like things are a little bit uneasy because she's in the middle of a battle, but uh, that's that. And that's what I was. Those are some of the thoughts that came to mind as I was illustrating Nubia. I also like the colors. The colors are nice. There's also a wallpaper of this available on my Patreon. There's a wallpaper available for all of them on my Patreon. Last but not least, we have Virgil Hawkins, that boy, Static. Now, unbeknownst to me, until I started looking up the character design for Static, there was a new Static design, like literally 2 days before I started drawing this, and I had no idea until I looked it up as I was looking up reference photos. But yeah, they're trying to like revamp the characters from Dakotaverse, I believe. And so when I was looking up photos for Static Shock, I was like, wait, Static has a new design. I looked it up and he looks cool. I'm not gonna lie. Static looks pretty cool in the new design. And so I decided to implement that design into this drawing. I didn't have much time to work on this one either, so I had to be strategic about how I'm going to set up the lighting as well as how I'm going to apply that light with the colors and what's the fastest way to do it, blah, blah, blah. And that's kind of what we ended up with, this high contrast, almost silhouette-like version of Static, and then add some colors and contrast into it. I think adding the yellow was my favorite part about it because everything is very dark. Everything is very, just kind of low in the value, like or lower in value or higher in value. I don't know my terminology, do I? But that nice contrast of these darker colors and then boom, this yellow just like pops out. I thought that was like the coolest part about the drawing. And then of course, you got the lightning, but I think that yellow like helps make the drawing pop, in my opinion. I don't know. I could be wrong. I'm still getting the hang of this thing, you know what I'm saying? But that is it for this video, it for the DC characters. Be on the lookout for the next series of drawings. I feel like a lot of you guys will like it. Who knows? Also check out my Patreon. Greetings, humans. On behalf of Aziz Draws, I, Model A2Z, would like to thank you for watching this video. If you want to continue supporting Aziz Draws, be sure to follow him on Twitter, Instagram, and Twitch.tv, where he will be drawing live on Mondays and Wednesdays. If you want to continue supporting Aziz Draws even further, be sure to go to his Patreon, where you will have access to watermark-free drawings and potentially even Clip Studio paint files to have access to the process and layers of each drawing. Until next time, humans, farewell.